Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Will's Garage. So today we have a 2012 Jetta Avant wagon, whatever you want to call it. This one, the customer has destroyed the clutch. Funny thing, the wife said she tried to teach her husband how to drive standard shift, and clearly he's missing a few details. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to remove the transmission, replace the clutch and the flywheel, because chances are the flywheel is destroyed from being overheated. I mean, just from the stuff under the hood here, I could smell just burnt clutch material. So I have a brand new dual mass flywheel. I've got the whole clutch kit, which is the pressure plate, the friction, and the throwout bearing. And we're going to go ahead and take this thing apart. Okay, I've jumped the gun a little bit here, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of what I'm going to be taking apart. So I took the engine cover off just to get a little more space there. Air box is out. That's pretty straightforward. You know, just remove the air snorkel from the turbo, remove the mass airflow sensor wiring, get the cold air duct off, and then the air box is just held in with a couple of push pins, and this one bolt that was already broken. Then I'm going to remove the battery. I'm going to remove the battery tray. That'll give me access down here to the transmission. And then I'm going to go lift it up. I'm going to take the belly pan off. I'm going to start disconnecting stuff like the shift cables, which I'm going to remove from the linkage itself, so I don't have to worry about readjusting the shifter once it's all together. Because if you remove these spring-loaded clips here, it actually will change the length of the cable, and that'll change the position of the shifter inside, and it won't shift right. You'll have to go through the procedure to, reset the cable lengths. So we're going to disconnect it from here, pull the starter out, get the axles out, the dog bone. I'm going to have to support the engine with an engine brace that's going to go across the fenders. It'll grab this from the engine support here, so we can then get the weight onto the bar to get the transmission out, and then we'll replace the clutch. Hey guys, and you can see the big belly pan that's on these. You know, take that off. There's a couple of T25s that go all the way around. There should be T30s here. Looks like 2 are missing. Well, we're gonna go ahead and take that belly pan off, and then I'll show you everything else that needs to come. All right, so belly pan's off. A couple of things. I'm going to remove the starter. I already took the top bolt off, the cable's off, the connector's off, so I'm going to have to take this bracket off of here. There's another bolt that goes through the transmission into the block. Obviously, I'm going to have to take the axles out, so we'll do that. This one's a little easier. To get the wheels off, you can get the bolt joints off from the bottom bolts. It'll give you plenty of room to get the axle forward, and then out of the transmission cups there. Got to do it on both sides. I'll also take off the heat shield for that boot there. Taking off the dog bone. So we got 3 bolts here. The dog bone will come out and out of the way. And then it's just the bolts that go around the transmission to get it off there. So I'm going to go ahead and start taking that apart, and hopefully we can get this transmission out relatively quick. Smell the clutch on this thing. Toast. Look at the dust. You can definitely tell there's no clutch left. Driver's side axle out. Just so you guys know, these are what they call triple square bolts. So it's a special socket. You know, Volkswagen, Audi, they all use them just about on everything. They're a little annoying, but you know, you can get these sockets at who sells Craftsman. Lowe's, Home Depot sell Craftsman stuff. Harbor Freight. You know, if you're just going to use them once, or if you really want to get, you know, a decent tool, you can get it from Snap-on. Even like Hazette sells them, but you are going to need them to take the axles off. And I'm not sure if you need them anywhere else on here, at least for the transmission job. The only other place I think might be is on the pressure plate, but we'll see when we get there. Alright, I got both axles out now. I'm going to start removing some of the smaller bolts. There's one pretty hefty size 18mm on the top yet, and I've got another one here that sits behind the other axle flange. So I'm going to get these loosened up. I'm going to try to get this transmission out without having to remove the subframe. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I don't remember if I can or not, but I guess we're going to find out. I went ahead and I removed the passenger side axle cup from the transmission. It's held in with a single 6mm bolt. It's an Allen head bolt. there's a dust shield in between the engine and the transmission that this would have contacted while I try to take this out. Now, I don't have a transmission jack. I work out of a small garage here. It's something I just don't want to be kicking around. I have to move a lot. So I'm going to try to take this out by hand. So I didn't want anything holding it up while I'm trying to hold this thing up in the air, get it out nice and safe and controlled like instead of taking the elevator straight to the basement. Or on my toes, and this turns into an insurance evidence tape. Either way, let's see how this goes. Okay guys, transmission's out. Sorry I didn't record that. Just wanted to let you know I had to take out the driver's side axle cup as well. It was hitting the subframe. Once I got that out, I was able to kind of take the transmission up and get it out. Like I mentioned when I took the starter out, there's a lot of clutch debris on there. So this is the bell housing transmission. I found chunks of clutch debris. So I'm about to take off the pressure plate bolts. I'm using an 11 and 30 seconds 12-point socket to get this off. Once we get this off, I'll show you the clutch, see how it looks. There's the clutch. You know, it's really probably not showing well on camera, but I can feel this is actually swollen up, and you can see inside where this thing got so hot, it just literally melted. So it melted, exploded. The outside is just fibers. I can just pull it apart. So this thing is actually garbage. You can see, I don't know if you can see them on camera, all the hot spots. Usually the way this happens is you're driving down the road, you're resting your foot on the clutch pedal. And what it's doing is it's putting just enough pressure that this clutch is slipping. And as it's getting hotter and hotter slipping, it falls apart. So not only we're replacing the pressure plates and the friction clutch, we're going to replace the flywheel as well. Like I said, this is a dual mass flywheel. Nobody really cuts these. There are a couple of companies that do a single mass conversion, so a lot of the cushioning is taken up in the clutch friction itself. I was able to get a good deal on an OEM dual mass flywheel, as well as the OEM clutch assembly kit. So we're going to take the flywheel off, and then we're going to start cleaning things up and go back together. Alright guys, got everything pretty much cleaned up in here. Trying to make sure the reluctor ring was clean from clutch debris and whatnot. I cleaned out the holes for the threads for the flywheel bolts. I'm going to be putting blue Loctite on them. This is a 242, it's a medium strength. It's good for bolts from 1/4 inch up to 3/4. So I'm going to put a little bit on the bolts. I'm going to put the flywheel on. And then we're going to start putting on, we're going to use the alignment tool to get the clutch friction on, as well as the pressure plate. Now, a couple things you want to keep in mind. Make sure you clean the friction surfaces with brake clean or some kind of solvent to get the wax, oil, whatever they have from shipping on it so it doesn't rust. You want to make sure that thing's nice and clean before you start putting this together. The other thing you'll notice I'll do is once I start putting the pressure plate on, I'm going to do like a crisscross motion to tighten it all down before I get all the way down where it needs to be to torque everything up. pressure plate bolts are tight, or at least run down even with my little wimpy impact gun. Now the bolts for the pressure plate get torqued down to 15 foot-pounds. Just in case you need to know, the flywheel bolts, those are 44 foot-pounds, and then on this at least is another additional quarter turn. So just make sure you look at your specific model to know exactly what your torque recommendations are. So I'm going to go ahead and torque these up right now. Alright guys, transmission is back in. All the bolts, all the linkages, everything's tight. The mount, as you can see, I got the support bar off. Last thing, I just wanted to point out how to bleed the slave cylinder here. First of all, you got to make sure your brake reservoir is full, because the clutch master and slave are fed from that, so make sure it's full. What I like to do is crack the bleeder loose so I start seeing some fluid coming up. And then the procedure to bleed these is a little different than a brake bleeding procedure. So what you want to do is you're going to open up this bleeder screw, you're going to go in, you're going to push the clutch to the floor gently, nice and slow. When it's down at the floor, which it's going to stick down to, come back out, close this bleeder, pull the clutch pedal back up. What it's going to do is it's going to pull fluid into the master. You'll do this a few times till you stop seeing air in there. You know, it's hard to say how many times to do it, but after a few times you'll start to see more fluid than air coming out of here. Once that is there, I'll close this. The last time I'll pull the pedal up, I'll make sure that when I push the pedal down, you know, it feels sort of like a clutch. I'll give it a couple of pumps. Again, all the while checking, make sure this reservoir stays full. And then finally, you know, I'll let it sit for a little bit, and then I'll just crack this bleeder open and let some of the fluid come out. You'll see a couple of extra air bubbles come out of here occasionally. Make sure this is full again, because as the fluid's coming out of here, it means that the reservoir is going down. So that's pretty much it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, like I said, it's pretty straightforward. A lot of the techniques work for just about any manual front-wheel drive vehicle. You know, this is a little different just because it's a diesel. It's a little newer model, but you know, the procedures are all like, you know, pretty much the same. So yeah, hope you like this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment below. I'll see you guys next time.